What's good, YouTube land? Now, I don't know if you guys remember my first Transformers review was on Voyager Sandstorm, at least one of my earliest ones. And honestly, looking back on those videos, they suck. So, I've been wanting for the longest time to redo that video, but I didn't want to just review Sandstorm again. I wanted to do something more. And now I've upgraded from the phone on a thing staring at my chair to the setup I have now with an actual proper camera and a tripod and a shirt on a cardboard box. And I went and picked up the guy who got repainted into Sandstorm. It's Generation Springer. So apparently from the offset of the Classics toy line, most of the fandom wanted Springer, and they wanted it immediately. And for the longest time, the only thing that we had was Warbot. I believe Warbot Defender from one of the third-party companies. And then Classics did a repaint of a helicopter toy into Springer. Those were the only choices until the Thrilling 30 gave us this finally triple changing Springer. So let's take a look at the packaging. It is the old school Thrilling 30 with the red background. Transformers Generations, a nice picture of Springer right there. Thrilling 30 subline, level 2 intermediate. Triple changer, robot to helicopter to armored car. Autobot logo right up there. Half an Autobot logo right there. Again, Series 2, number 1. In 2014. This came out 3 years ago. Other side, nothing but this grid pattern. Another Autobot insignia. On the bottom, the fail Vaganza that was Blitzwing. Although I did pick up the repaint double dealer. I had no idea how bad the mold is. And I don't hate the toy because I don't play with it. But on the back you have some product shots of the two vehicle modes, the robot mode, rotor blades become the sword. You have tech specs right here. 2 launching missiles. And a brief bio talking about Springer. Autobot Springer was built to be a tough guy. Everything about him, from his nickel-plated blaster cannon to his bad boy attitude, is calculated to communicate exactly what he wants it to. That he's a no-holds-barred, take-no-prisoners kind of guy. He prefers to fight alone, trusting his skills and luck to get him out of tight spots, rather than rely on his fellow warriors. After all, other Autobots fail. Autobot Springer never does. So, yeah. This toy is actually based not specifically on the G1 design model from the show, but more from Nick Roche's design in Last Stand of the Records comic book. And we'll get more into that as we go along in the review. So I'm going to get him open, and we'll take a look at old mode number 1. So here he is, opened up and out of his packaging. And included are his gun, his sword, and instructions. So for immediate comparison, because this is the important one, here he is next to Sandstorm. You can kind of see just how much they remolded. They remolded these bits, not this bit, but this bit, The back sections are completely remolded. Not the leg bits, just the extra stuff. You can kind of look at it to see how different it is. And just on the side you can see just how oversized these wheels are. And on the bottom, not much has changed, but we'll get into that in other modes. So he is a futuristic sports car. He is very sleek in profile, I like that. And he is very green, gray, and yellow, which is iconic Springer colors. The unfortunate thing is this bit and these bits are yellow paint, I believe, yes, yellow paint, and while these bits are yellow plastic, which is a thing Hasbro is known to do, and can get annoying at times because you can see the visible divides between the different plastics. Like if I bring in this guy again, these bits are one solid piece of plastic, so they're like two colors basically, yellow and black. Okay, three if you consider the orange. It is a nice futuristic space car. It is his Cybertronian mode, obviously. I don't think he has an Earth equivalent. But you can see nice green on the headlights, and a small Autobot insignia right there. A nice translucent windscreen going all the way around to the side. Some molded in detail on the top section. Some nice silver paint for whatever this is supposed to be. Nothing for tail lights, although he does have what looks to be a spoiler. And lots of detail on the sides. Well, I guess not a lot of detail, but you have these nice silver things picked out. Green in the wheel well. He does wheel very nice. He rolls very nicely. Do. Get rid of those instructions, because I don't need them. And these are slightly positionable. They're actually on little rails, so you can slide them up for whatever reason, but that kind of ruins the profile even more. As for weapon storage, you have two ports there and there. I kind of like to peg the gun in right there, because it kind of sits flush as possible. You can take the sword, and there's a port here and a port here. You can plug it in either way, although I don't think, yeah, it's not as flush pointed that way. The sword looks a little bent, unfortunately, because it's kind of two thin pieces of plastic doubled up. But we'll talk about the sword in a bit. You can plug the sword on top for that kind of flavor if you choose, or it's hilarious, you can plug it in right there for kind of like what would you call that? I don't know if it's a weaponized car mode as much as it reminds me of like a knight on horseback with his lance. Jousting. It's a jousting car. There you go. We got anything else? Not really. These things are positionable. But that's about it. And this piece. Yeah, that's basically it. We're going to go into helicopter mode, so I got to transform Sandstorm, and I'll be right back. Alright, so to go to helicopter mode, we're going to take these sections, rotate this bit around, and lock them into place right there. I'll fold that up. Take the other side, do the same thing. Lock it together with the thighs. And this one seems to have an issue going in its socket, but nonetheless, you have the rear end of the helicopter, I guess you can call it. So take these bits, and what are we doing? We're folding that out, fold this piece up, fold this around, bring that down, do the same thing on the other side. It only really turns one way, because this thing it's on gets stopped right there. So fold that up, fold that down, fold that out. Take this section and you're going to want to unclip it and bring it all the way up like that. And then you kind of want to just wedge it into these gaps on his thighs. These are shins, these are his thighs. I don't know robo anatomy very well. And then just kind of make sure these things are in place. And you can bring down the landing gear. This is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. Just unpeg the beak. And you've got most of a helicopter. So to do the propellers, you separate the sword, flip, do that, and then you want to take this peg, put it in there, and now you have your rotor blades. Oh, and you can use these as also as back landing gear. I got the freaking landing gear shoved up in there again. So there's his helicopter mode. It's personally never been my favorite mode. Here it is again next to Sandstorm. So they turned a weird regular helicopter into a weird VTOL style helicopter. But again, there's a lot of changes. These bits have been added. There's a bit more bulk, I guess, with this orange piece. And this gun fits into there. Apparently, I assume you're supposed to be able to do it with this gun. Like, I have yet to figure out how. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I know I don't know. But yeah. In my opinion, there's no way to... Oh, jeez, I fired a missile. I fired a missile! You don't need me to show you that. You know what it looks like when you fire a missile. They go flying behind your hoi-foi, and you never see them again. But, nonetheless, we do have kind of a gimmick in this mode. You can spin fairly freely. The helicopter blades, when they don't hit my hand, they go fairly freely. You can lift that up and keep hitting the tail fin. And due to that peg, you can plug the gun on top, which looks ridiculous because it just won't sit like this. There we go. Well, there's some nice sculpted in detail right here that you don't see in any of the other modes. You have these things that could represent tiny little wings. And yeah, I love the badonkadonk of a tail fin that this helicopter has always had. Well, Actually, I think this one has more because it's not covered up. Okay. We must get to the main event going down in Wrecker Town. It's time for robot mode. And we're done. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Fold the feet down. Fold the feet down. Split the legs. Split the legs. Flip up the tail fin. Flip up the tail fin. Take these bits, bring them up, pull up the head, and just wedge it in here, basically. I think I need to, definitely need to pull out the landing gear and push that through. I don't know how much of that is on camera, but I don't care. And then plug the shoulders from there into there. And unpeg them here. Flip out the fist now. Make sure that's there. Do the same thing on the other side. Unpeg the shoulder, flip out the hand, and we're almost done. Flip up this butt flap. And make sure that leg is back in place. And you have a Springer in his robotic mode. How quickly can I do Sandstorm? That's the question. And in my opinion, Springer looks a hell of a lot better than Sandstorm and is the better toy. I'll say that. He's a lot better at standing up, in my opinion. Well, not in my opinion, it's actual fact. He's better at standing up. This is taking way too long. Why I didn't pause, I have no idea. And it's pretty much done. So you see Sandstorm. 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 Make me. You're proving my point here, Sandstorm. Oh, fuck it. There you go. That's the best way he's going to stand up. And he barely wants to stand up. Earth to Sandstorm. Fuck. Knock him over. There you go. Stand up, boy. There we go. So, yeah. You can kind of take a look at how much they changed. Definitely his chest piece is different. These little bits are different. The head, obviously, this is a lot more Springer head. If I want to, I can show the glorious light piping. Which, oops, you really can't see. Because my light is too bright. There you go. His face is filled with gorgeous blue light pipes. Take a look at the head. That's Springer, alright. He's got the sharp crests on the sides of his face. A nice bright gray face with a surly demeanor and little yellow vents and the tri-pronged head crest, whatever that is. And his shins are different, going from wheels, his wheels going from here to Sandstorm's wheels on the back, on his back, making him incredibly top heavy. I'm just going to assume Sandstorm is drunk. And also, I hate Sandstorm because his ball jointed neck is way too loose. This guy, right out of the box, feels smooth. Not loose yet, although I don't know how much I'm actually going to play with Springer. Detail-wise, it's everything we've seen here already. Very nice, straight, clean legs. All you get for kibble is these little bits on the back and his shoulder pauldrons, which you can actually raise if you like the look of that. Which I don't believe are actually on the picture, so I don't know any of the art displaying him. And I forgot to fold out his heels, his green heel on one side. But yeah, he definitely stands a lot better because he doesn't have a giant backpack of wheels. Articulation-wise, his head, as stated, is on a ball joint. You get a nice range. You get a little bit of up, a little bit of down. You can also be depressed. He can turtle. Shoulders are probably the least strong joint on this guy. Like, it's not floppy, but it doesn't take a lot to loosen. It feels pretty loose, but it can go all the way that way, all the way around. No butterfly, a bit of butterfly motion, but I highly doubt that's a ball joint. You do get a bicep swivel, or a ratcheted elbow, which is nice on this toy. That's probably my favorite joint on Sandstorm and Springer, is the ratcheted elbow. It goes just under 90 degrees. The wrist does actually have a swivel. Unfortunately, no bend, which would be cool for swordsman poses, because obviously he has a sword. He does have a waist joint, although it's hard to get any use out of it because you kind of have to unpeg the backpack just to get a full 360. But he does have a waist joint. Hips can go forwards completely, can go backwards that far, can go outwards. He can do full tree pose, or he can do a pretty nice high kick. Not the most stable because his legs are his feet are molded at that kind of angled stance. Knee, listen to that buttery. Is that buttery? I guess. Listen to that ratchet. Oh yeah, that is nice. And his knee spikes are on hinges for landing gear, but they also provide some wicked Shao Kahn knee-talities, if you're into that kind of thing. You do have a thigh swivel, and for foot you do have a forward and backwards, no tilt, unfortunately. But that's all the posability for Springer. This is definitely a above average, in my opinion, Voyager toy. Now we come to the accessories, which turn into a blade, which segment right up here. It's not a bad sword, definitely. It's not the worst sword I've ever seen. But it's kind of unfortunate that these pieces are a little bit softer plastic, a little bit flexible. Can you store it in robot mode? You can right back here. If you don't want him having the sword, and you can have him holding his gun, which is friction fire. You just push it forward, and let's see how strong the gun is. I find this arm is a bit weaker than the other one. But let's get Sandstorm, sand standing up, and fire. It did nothing. Oh well. It does look cool, sans ammo, though. There we go. That's good. I'm gonna make that a running joke. But if you want, you can have him holding the sword that way. I'd say probably that way, and then put the blaster on his back. Or what looks like in this peg, it's not deep enough, but it's about the right size. And you can have him in some almost awesome swordsman poses. Which makes me wish that he actually had a wrist hinge so he could hinge it, he could hold it in front of him at an enemy instead of just static. It's So, final thoughts on Springer. I'm happy I picked him up. He's definitely the better of these two in terms of mold. Just playing with him for a couple minutes, I definitely think he won in certain areas like balance and looks. Like the yellow chest and it almost looks like a beak in car mode, which is kind of the only negative thing I could say about his car mode. Is the front of his car looks kind of bland. But that is Springer. The yellow is iconic Springer. So can't really fault it too much on that. I'd still say he's worth the pickup if you never got him or Sandstorm. I definitely would recommend Springer over Sandstorm. So thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time. But until then, keep it weird.